This is Justin, and you are listening to episode 5.2. This is our full review of The Dark Tower, which will contain spoilers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your doom.
Welcome to your doom.
The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Incredible opening words which are not fucking used by this movie.
They are.
When?
The woman whispers it. There's literally a whisper of this. So right after... so we're going into spoilers.
Yeah.
So that whole terrible scene with his dad being killed.
Oh, but it is not used at the beginning.
No.
Which is just crazy.
It's well, they don't... This is the whole problem with the movie, right? They don't know what to do with this.
I
Like, it's just like this random whisper you hear. The man in black fled.
Oh.
And the gunslinger followed.
Did that happen at the beginning, though? That doesn't happen at the beginning,
that
right?
happens, like, so after that whole confrontation, and he shoots him, and he just catches the arrow behind his head, and he walks off. And then it just fades to black, and you hear that whisper.
Oh, that's awful. These words are as iconic as, like, for me, they're as iconic as, like, Call Me Ishmael from Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Having read half of Moby Dick and not made it all the way through, because that thing is just massive. I was hooked by right in that first few words. That first sentence is such a big part of that story, right? These are just as iconic. And anytime you read anything about the Dark Tower, these words, this sentence is the thing that pops up. It's iconic, and it's what the Gunslinger Born hardcover like graphic novel starts with. It's what the book starts with. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, and that's when I knew. I'm like, oh god, like, because that's a no-brainer. I think, like, just from an adaptation standpoint, like, that's just like a no-brainer to do that, and they don't do it.
They don't even have those two in the desert at any point.
That's right. Yeah, they don't. There's no scene like that. It's just like, I mean, I can picture like such like a gorgeous like shot of the desert. It could almost be very like Clint Eastwood, like Western starkness.
That's what it was meant to be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the whole
that's right.
character of Gunslinger was partly inspired by
Eastwood. Yeah,
Eastwood from The Good, Bad, and Ugly.
The man with
Right.
no name. Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, no, it starts off instead in New York, where Jake's having bad dreams. Premonitions, but bad dreams.
Right. No, does it start there?
Doesn't it?
That's how it starts.
I think it starts right off
But
the
he
bat.
wakes up from a nightmare. What's the nightmare?
The nightmare is... the
kids.
It starts off, them having, like, there's that town just outside. I just call it the murder tower. I don't know why I call it that, because no one's technically getting murdered in that thing, and it's not really a full tower. It's kind of like a stubby tower.
It's a dome.
Oh, that's right.
It's like the base of a
firing
tower.
Off psychic
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, they're
And
shooting
then
them.
Jake wakes up, and he's like, another dream. And then
Earthquakes. Yeah.
Earthquakes. Then the hot mom comes in and is like, Jake, you all right? And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Distracted.
And then it goes straight into his weird stepdad and his friend, who neither of those characters help the plot in any way at all. Aside from being like, he's crazy.
And then
That kid is crazy.
And then the friend just being completely useless.
Yes. He was like giving exposition on stuff that didn't need to be exposed. He was just like,
checking that you guys are alive after this earthquake.
Yeah, that and like, hey,
What?
Hey, you still having those dreams? Like, of course he is. The audience just saw that. Just woke up.
That's right. That's right.
God. And then the earthquakes too bugged me too, because everybody seemed very cavalier about that. Like, earthquakes. I'm like, it's New York. Why are people not freaked out like crazy about constant, very large scale earthquakes?
That's
like,
right.
I had I don't know. I feel like the whole scientific community would probably be terrified, and there would be full spread panic everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
This whole movie is a big rant.
So
Big topic.
So, anyways, he decides one day to be like, he puts his drawings away. He's like, no more bad dreams. And then he dreams of the gunslinger.
And he dreams of the Battle of Jericho Hill, like basically the end of the end of the gunslingers, where it's just him and his dad.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk about this scene briefly.
Yeah,
I've got a note.
A few notes.
I look at this scene and I'm like, oh, like Stephen Deschain is in this movie. Oh, this is cool. And immediately regretted feeling any optimism because they basically pump the set full of smoke.
Yeah.
And they have cliched, the whisper, the man in black, and they recite the gunslingers. And they just seem woefully unprepared. And he just doesn't look like... He's like from the line of Eld and all of this like stuff, and the gunslingers are they're like the Jedi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or like Arthurian knights, or like that type of thing, and he just looks like he looks like he picked up a gun like yesterday.
They look like Civil War soldiers.
Yeah,
they look like Civil War
I
soldiers.
actually didn't know they were gunslingers. Yeah, I thought that the only two gunslingers were Stephen and Roland.
Right.
I didn't know that those other people were.
Well, do you mean like were there other folks?
What do you mean other people?
I'm talking about his dad and like him. Like,
Yeah,
they just look like
those two are gunslingers, and I got that from the guns, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, no. What about the other? There was the dude that was lying down, and the man in black came over top of him and said something, and then he died.
Yeah.
Were those
like
gunslingers too, or those were
I
just
think they were
villagers?
supposed to be. I think they were all supposed to be
I suppose.
gunslingers. It's not obvious. Yeah, it's not obvious.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, like what you just said, Civil War like folks, which is it's not a bad thing, not a bad look, but they look like Civil War folks in a bad reenactment.
They look like infantry soldiers, is what I mean to say.
Sure, but I mean even that you can make that work if you wanted that to be your look. But it looks like a bad reenactment. Yeah. In Shark Week when they have those reenactments of sharks like attacking people and it's just awful and they put a red filter on the screen and shake the camera in the water and stuff like that. This is that bad.
Yeah.
I was really, really surprised because Nikolaj Arcel, the guy who directed this film, he did another movie called The Royal Affair with Mads Mikkelsen. It's a Danish film. It's a great movie and it's a beautiful looking movie. Beautiful. I own it on Blu-ray. It's fantastic. And when he was announced as the director for this film, I'm like, oh, that's great because he's got a great eye. And then this scene pops up, and I'm like, what happened here? Like this looks like they were trying to cover the setup. They basically relied on cliched, omnipresent villain. The Man in Black's powers are introduced, which are I think they're just like random. Lame and random. The stop breathing, the bullet catching, I don't know. It was all just really, really run of the mill, like bad.
When they introduced those two talking, it doesn't seem like they've just fought a big battle. It seems like they've just ran a marathon and they're catching their breath.
Yeah.
Dude, I need some water. Hold on. There's nothing that convinces me that they've just had the battle of their life.
Yeah.
And they're the only two survivors, and this is it. This is the end of the gunslingers.
Yeah.
What it seems like.
Yeah.
There's nothing that convinces me.
This looks like
that.
a small skirmish.
Yeah.
In like a
and these
swamp.
just catching their breath. All right. Let's just sit here on this rock for a second.
Yeah. On the plus side, Jay Lee would love to draw this scene.
That's true.
It's got a lot of mist.
Yeah. The other thing too, why the hell? So Roland's dad dies.
Yeah.
And then
very easily. It was like, and they're reciting
anticlimactic.
And the thing is there was another thing was there was no explanation as to why the gunslinger is immune to the Man in Black's powers. They're just like,
he just
immune.
says it,
Cool.
and that's it.
And he says the word magics.
Magics.
And it kind of makes me laugh when someone says the word magic in plural.
But so, anyways, the other thing that really irks me in that scene,
it's with a K. Yeah.
He just kills his dad. He's really pissed off. He takes one shot. He catches it. You've got 11 other bullets. The hell are you not unloading for?
And he doesn't. Yeah,
he doesn't do anything. And I thought maybe because he knows that none of them will go through because he could just go like this and they're all gone.
Yeah.
But then later in the climax of the film, he's got to bring up all kinds of rocks and glass and shit to deflect all these bullets because he can't catch all of them.
Yeah.
You unload on both guns. He's not ready for it. He's walking away.
Yeah.
You've got him point blank. Do it.
Yeah. Do it.
And it's not like the only other thing I could think of was like, oh, maybe he's so distraught and has just given up on life.
Sure. Yeah.
But then the next time he gets a chance to go after the Man in Black, he's like, yeah, I want that motherfucker right now. It's like, wait a minute, why are you deciding that now?
Yeah.
You had a chance before. It just didn't make sense to me. I was like, that would have been the end of the movie right there.
Yeah, it was strange that he kind of he just lets him walk away. I remember he's just kind of like...
apparently, and right after that is when they say the words, you know.
Oh, and the man fled?
It doesn't look like anyone fled. He just walked and he just stood.
And there's this great thing in the books where, like, it says the Man in Black fled across the desert and Gunslinger followed, but they use the word fled and then they play around with that a lot in the story. It's like, who's chasing who? Like, who, you know, is the Man in Black fleeing? He's not. It
seems very cat and mousey.
Yeah, and they play on that.
Yeah.
And they play on that. And this movie doesn't make that a mystery. They don't make that... the Man in Black isn't fleeing. The Man in Black is in control, right? Like, he's in control. You know, stop breathing, stick your thumb up your butt. Like, he'll just tell you to do whatever you got to do, and you'll do it, right? Very Preacher. Have you guys ever read Preacher?
No. I've read a little bit of it a long time ago.
Sorry?
Yeah, AMC just...
Oh yes,
based on that?
Yes,
Cooper.
it's based on the comic. But one of the things, he gets the word of God, and he basically says something in God's voice, and people do it. It's very much like that. You know, like there is stuff about this movie I like. This scene, I just couldn't. I don't know. I felt so let down by this scene because it was just one with a very good actor, like a great choice, of actor, great casting.
Yeah,
it was great casting. It seems like an afterthought. It seems like a reshoot.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
It seemed like, you know, we should probably have this scene. Somebody have like a couple $1,000s. Okay, we could put together a shoot and shoot it in a couple of hours. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, I think Nikolaj Arcel is capable of shooting a beautiful movie. I think that there were things that were happening during the production of this film, and there was a lot of that talk that didn't play in his favor.
Yeah,
I think that, you know, he was whatever it was, he was micromanaged or whatever it happens to be. Because I think he's a great. The cast is great. He's a great director. It just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't come together. Right. And this scene is a good example. Is a good example of that.
Well, and they could have used that scene to explain a bit more about what the Gunslinger is all about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we know because there's a lot of materials surrounding that, but there's nothing in the movie that offers that these gunslingers are essentially like the knights of their realm.
Yeah,
right?
nothing. Yeah, other than Roland just kind of saying it, they never show it.
And we know that the guns are made from, like, they're forged from just, you know, Excalibur, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
There was a line about that.
Yeah. But they only say that his guns are. But
right. Yeah.
But then how does he get them? Why is he the one who gets them?
Right. Yeah.
Like does that lend to his special immunity against Walter? Like, they could have used that.
They could have used it. Yeah, it doesn't have to... Like, again, this isn't about being slave... You're right. This is not about being slavish to the book. It's about create a mythology. Yeah. Like, make an effort. And another point I wanted to make was, I liked the idea of a 90-minute film.
Oh, I love a lot of people. You give me a 90-minute film, I'm a happy camper.
A lot of people felt longer.
Yeah, right. It would feel longer, right? But I think that a 90-minute film would have been great. And I remember Nikolaj Arcel responding to a lot of people who are like, oh my God, it's 90 minutes. And then people are freaking out. He's like, actually working with a 90-minute film is better because it allowed me to be way more focused and make decisions about what is in and what is out to make a streamlined movie. Unfortunately, what came out wasn't a streamlined movie, but that notion is still something I would love to see. And you know what movie does that very, very well? What movie has a very focused, character-driven story, but hints at a huge outside world and big mythology that it capitalizes in its sequel? And it does it all very, very well.
John Wick.
Yes,
I knew
exactly.
Yeah.
John Wick.
I had a feeling it was going that way.
Is the poster child for this.
Yeah, exactly.
If you watch the first John Wick, there is stuff in there that has like zero explanation, but through like visuals, through a little bit of dialogue, you get the idea. It hints at this bigger world. Right?
It hints at the bigger world, and those hints are done in passing, but the film itself attaches you to John himself.
Yes.
And the villain.
Yes.
And there's clear motivations and everything about that. So you see all those little things and you absorb them quickly, but none of that's a priority to you at that time. But then once that first movie's done and you go into a second film, well, where's the character at? Do you focus on something new the character's doing, or do you expand that world? They went with the expanding world thing. In this one, they do neither. I couldn't give a fuck about the characters, and they didn't talk about any of the universe either.
Right, yeah.
It was just useless.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, so John Wick, poster child for introducing mythology in a very subtle way, and this movie can you imagine? I mean, I think you can re-edit this film into a better movie. I think. I mean, I'm not an editor. I don't know.
But that was
long.
my first reaction is when we walked out of that theater. I felt like it was a victim to the editing room.
Oh,
they
yeah,
just
sure.
chopped it up.
Yeah.
They didn't know which parts to leave in, which parts were relevant, and which parts weren't. They just kind of did like, this is probably what the audience is gonna like, but for each scene rather than as a movie as a whole.
Yeah, maybe that does. Yeah, it does seem symptomatic of like treating scenes independently of each other.
Yeah. They just don't come together really well.
So that was one scene in the movie. So we'll keep moving. So you get to see the Man in Black's powers, and he does things like stop breathing, and he says that to his father. His father dies, and Jake wakes up from his dream, and you see here like the Stephen King references start coming in, which I actually enjoyed. I love seeing them. I like seeing that stuff, like he goes to his psychiatrist or psychologist, or I don't know which one, which is which.
He was the one of the other useless characters in the film that didn't contribute to fuck all.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Did he not? I mean, I think he's
all he basically
purpose.
No. All he basically did. This is my opinion, but all he basically did was say, "Oh yeah, you got some crazy dreams over there. Maybe it's about your father." That could have been done. That it was already established he was having crazy dreams, and it was already established that people would think they were crazy from his mom's reaction to them. Sure. And his mom could have been the one that said, "Do you think it's maybe because of what happened to your father?"
Sure.
Which again, even that, like, who gives? Like, how did his father really contribute to this plot at all, aside from the one scene later with the dark forest monster? Right? Like,
I think
the fact that his father passed didn't make any difference to the story either.
The father relationship comes up when, like, in that scene, because it's his dad that sort of lures him into that trap. But
that could have easily been his mom.
Yeah, sure.
Right? It didn't need to be a dead person.
Sure. Yeah, and it is.
It could have just been somebody in his mind.
I mean,
somebody
they could have just
about.
said he's going to see a psychiatrist and leave it at that. Like
exactly, yeah. You didn't need to devote 4 minutes of that scene.
Doesn't the psychiatrist say something that? I can't remember.
No,
all they did was
earthquakes, and like during the session, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about."
And again, he's very cavalier about it. He's like, another earthquake.
Yeah.
What the hell?
You're in New York.
Exactly.
You're not on a fault line.
Right. So, like, on the psychiatrist's desk, you see a picture of the Overlook Hotel. That's what falls over, and the Overlook Hotel is the one from The Shining.
Yeah, but who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't care. I like the Easter eggs.
It's nice. It's nice that there's Easter eggs, but they don't do anything for the story.
I didn't notice it, and the whole time that psychiatrist scene was going on, I was thinking, where are we going with this? And turns out nowhere. There was really no reason to have that scene.
Barlow, right? Or
Barlow. Yeah, I don't know. I like that stuff.
It's cool. Again, it's for the hardcore fans who know actually what they're talking about, but it does nothing for the movie.
Exactly.
Right.
It does not push it forward. Doesn't bring anything. Like
Marvel's good at putting Easter in DC too. They're good at putting little Easter eggs in there, but they don't make that a central focus. Whereas this one, it sounds
there's like maybe one egg. This movie's just littered with eggs that are completely separate from each other.
It's a chicken house.
Egg fest.
It's an egg fest.
Yeah. Like, okay, fine. Like they have the whole Barlow and Straker. Yeah. So that could have been actually useful because
there is a
character right from Salem's Lot. So that's a connection to Salem's Lot.
Prominent character. Yeah.
Where one of the character ends up shows up in one of the later books. Without revealing too much.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything about that. Another scene is where they're walking into I think it's like a safe house, and that's where the rose is outside.
Yeah, so they have this. I don't know if you know. Did you notice any rose imagery in the film? Like pictures of a rose?
I might have. I don't remember.
So
it's wasted scenes.
So I feel like the rose is a more prominent thing than like Straker and Barlow's, something like that, or the Overlook Hotel. Yeah, I like them because I don't think that they took away from like anything, and they just kind of added that giddy factor. I don't think, yeah.
If they're in a scene of relevance, I agree with you.
But they're not.
But they're not. That's
They're
my
not.
problem. It's
Right.
Oh, look, there's an image of a rose. So what?
If they if they push the rose imagery a little bit more, I think that it would have been
Or make it relevant at all.
because maybe but pushing the rose imagery,
Like they could have put a picture of a rabid dog, and you could have gone, oh, Cujo.
Well, Cujo was in the movie. Did you see him?
Fuck
was he?
Cujo.
Yeah. No, he was like someone's walking their dog across the street.
Oh, was that a
giant
Saint
Saint Bernard?
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
Okay, well there you go. See,
Yeah.
again, it's just Stephen King like product placement. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it does nothing for the movie.
Sure, yeah, no, you're right, you're
they're
right.
wasting screen space, and
you're
screen
right,
time with
right.
this.
I'm moving on.
Okay, yeah. Let's move on. You're right.
So basically, after this, then I think it might have been when he has the dream, or they might show a little bit more of the Man in Black brain frying people.
Yeah.
But then he also meets that crazy homeless person that's like, they're looking for you.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And at that point, I was like, how the hell would he know? But we'll get to that
Yeah,
guy later
sure,
on
yeah.
because he comes back in the story. Then he goes back home, and there's the fake face people that are trying to get him. This leads into the best action scene in the film.
Agreed. 100% agreed. This foot chase is amazing.
Great.
It's extremely well shot.
Yeah.
Exciting. I was like, holy shit, this is fucking good. Because I haven't seen a foot chase like that. Like on the rooftops of New York through fire escapes.
Yeah.
Having been through a lot of these fire escapes myself and seeing someone like clamber through them. Like one time I locked myself in my own apartment. My lock broke. Me, Chetan, and Shagu, my wife, were all stuck in the apartment. We're supposed to go out, and we had to get out on the fire escape, go around, and then go through my neighbor's apartment, come back out to get out of the apartment. Anyway, that's just one of the many times I've used the fire escape. But and not for fires. But like he's running through it was amazing. It was great,
Yeah.
and it was it was a very tense scene in the apartment as well when he's getting ready to go and he realizes that they're the fake skin people. Great. I was like, oh, this entire scene is wonderful. Why couldn't the scene with Roland and Steven be as like thoughtful and like as effective,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree 100%. Great scene.
So then after the foot chase, that's when he gets away, and I guess in earlier scenes he'd figured out that safe house where the portal was, and he had to get to that, the raggedy
So
old
he
house.
finds
And 1919, I think he already had that information in his head, right?
yeah.
And that's coming from his dreams, right?
Yeah.
Yes, those are coming from his dreams. Then he wrote them drew them out.
I like how he finds out too. He just posts on the internet on a message
exactly.
board, and I'm like, oh, people do that kind of shit.
Anybody know
People
where
respond.
this place is?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's my old hood. Is one of the guys said.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Just as he's about to leave, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I thought that was pretty great.
But then the house attacks him, which I thought was weird. And
They didn't.
See,
I like
they need an explanation for that.
So I liked the because this does happen in the books.
Yeah.
It's much more played out in the books.
Yeah.
I like the interpretation. The effects were cool. The way like the wood was sort of like it
Coming out at
didn't
him.
form into a monster with arms and legs. That would have been more like Monster House.
Yeah.
Like that animated film, which I was a great movie. But you don't want to get that. I think they didn't want that sort of cartoony flavor, and I sort of agree with them. But the way it came together and like I thought those effects were quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And the effects for the doorways I thought were really cool too. It was basically just a mirror in a mirror, that infinite sort of thing with like this crazy
The
shimmer. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice interpretation of what, and like these doors feature heavily in the original story. But I can see how that can be tremendously confusing, and especially when he says stop and the monster just like falls into pieces. Which
Actually,
I was really
I didn't even
confused about.
realize that. Like that whole scene was so chaotic.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize he yells out psychically, I guess, stop.
Yeah.
Like to me, when I was watching it, it just decides to suddenly drop him.
Exactly. It just came out of nowhere.
Oh, you thought that it stopped attacking him just
Like
for
out
shits?
of nowhere. Yeah. I
Really?
didn't realize that he actually like yells out, just drop me, and he exerts psychic power to make him do that.
There should have been like a sonic boom
Something
effect
to
or
some kind of
like that.
visual understanding.
He just
I don't
yelled.
think, he yells. Did you hear him yell?
Yeah, but that's it. There's no reason for me to think that he has a psychic power.
I think everybody would yell in that circumstance.
Right? And next thing you know,
Mine
he's
would have
like,
been more like, yeah! rather than put me down. But no, I interpreted that completely differently. When he says stop, I think it's supposed to be weird that this thing stops and he grabs his bag and he runs through the portal, because it's only later that the Man in Black explains the fact that this kid has a strong strong shine. So in the books, the term they
touch,
use,
right?
Yeah, it's
I
the
just
touch.
cracked that on the first book.
They call it the touch. In the movie, they call it the shine.
Which now I get it, because I didn't even make that connection until now. It's from the shine.
From the shine.
Fuck you, Steven. He's they might as well have showed an hour and a half of him just slow jerking it on the screen. Like, just in like Augusta, Maine, or no, Bangor, Maine, just him in his opulent room, just having at it. And he would write it
with all his books in the background.
All his books in the background. He would write about it too in detail, because that's kind of his shtick. Anywho, so then, so where do we go from here?
Oh man.
So then Jake gets into Midworld.
Yeah, he gets to Midworld, and he's like
with his shoe somewhere off.
With his shoe somewhere else, and then he decides to run into a sandstorm because he sees it in the distance. He's like, "I'm going to go into this."
Yeah. So
that wasn't a brilliant idea.
So a word about this. I think these shots here, they're beautiful, man. I thought this was a great framed part of the film, like just the way it was shot. When he meets I was about to call him the Man in Black. When he meets the gunslinger, because he's fucking wearing all black.
So, I was really, really hoping that first time they meet, that he wouldn't just blurt out the first thing would be, "It's you."
You like that sort of
cliche
line.
I think that was shown in the trailers.
Murphy, it's you.
Like every time, and I'm like, please have like some kind of conversation before you come up to the part where it's like, "Oh, it's you, the gunslinger." No, right away, right off the bat, as cliche as can be.
Yeah,
it's you, the gunslinger. And of course, he looks as bored as can be.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I was okay with that. I think cliche is good every once in a while. Like, you don't have to flip the script on everything. Like, there are certain things that work, and they work for a good reason. Like, I don't know. That didn't really bother me, but I get why that could be, like...
That was the most emotional moment in the movie.
Yeah, for Elba. But I get, as being a fan, like being obsessed with the books for your whole 2 months that it took you to read them. But like, you want things to be as unique as the books are. I get that. At the same time, I was like, for that scene, yeah. I mean, it didn't. I don't think it played out with as much oomph as it probably should have.
Well, and so they're in the middle of this desert, but that was all to it. Like, he's just walking around in the desert, really. But in the meantime, Walter can just jump around from wherever he wants to go through these.
And it didn't seem like he was chasing him or doing anything.
No,
like,
he was just literally just strolling through a desert.
Yeah, so they don't really explain, like, so like that's the part where they're like, what have you been doing? Like, are you like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like in the desert, just like chilling?
Yeah.
And even Obi-Wan had a little hut.
Yeah, that's right.
He's just sitting out there.
Yeah, there's no real. But there's a great shot when he mentions. I think what does he mention? The Man in Black.
He mentions the Man.
He mentions Black and grabs him. And he holds him over the edge. I was like, there are a lot of movies where someone gets held over an edge. Okay. They don't look half as good as this did. I was like, in the theater, I'm like, oh, this shot looks fucking amazing. Like, I thought it was real. Like, and it was so dramatic and it was so well framed. I was like, there's the Nicolaj that I know. Who I don't know personally, but,
Yeah, there's something to be said about a shot where you're dangling somebody over some sort of crevice or abyss, where the hero is just holding them out there. This is audio, so you can't see me, but just holding them out there and just holding them out in space, and they can't touch. And then you've got this shot where the kid has just got their toes just barely on there and just keeping on, and that to me was
actually the lifeline.
Yeah.
Like, there are some shots where they hold him out and it's like, okay, he can just kind of like grab you and like you'd both go down or whatever, but he's got him out and like he's doing everything he can to try and stay on the ledge. And the background is like, it's immense. You know, and
Giant
it's frame filling. It was a great shot. I was into that. I like that. I like the look of these scenes.
Yeah.
And you know, he talks about the Man in Black, shows him the pictures he's drawn. Where I think it's got one line that actually got my audience to laugh, where he's like, you know, he takes the drawing, folds it up, puts it in his, you know, coat pocket, and the kid's like, "Oh yeah, like you can keep."
Oh yeah,
that.
he just kind of grabs it and
He's like, "You keep that." I was like, "Oh, that's."
It's like, oh, that's cool. You keep that.
Yeah. And
yeah, that was actually the first time like I felt like there was some humor in the movie.
sure, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Up until that, it was completely humorless.
Yeah, there wasn't any.
Just
yeah.
nothing.
And then from then on, he says that they have to go see a seer or like
Right, someone
like
who can read his
read
dreams.
his shine basically, or magnify his shine or something like that. So they proceed on their quest, and they end up at Pennywise's like fair, which I thought was pretty cool. I was like, oh, he walks in, oh, it's like a fair that was run by Pennywise. And then they have this action scene in there, but they actually jumps back to this to the Walter Matthew, the Man in Black, basically like he's like a detective. He's like this weird cosmic detective where he's just trying to find out where they are and visit the people that they visited. They talks to the skin people, says you failed me, now you die. You know, the classic. This is where the cliche stuff really bothered me, because the Man in Black in the books, he is not a cliched character. Like, he's unpredictable. Like, I have no idea, what he's capable of, right? Here he's just kind of like, that average. The villain that shoots his own henchmen because they've disobeyed him, like, very...
Scars them.
Yeah, or whatever, stuff like that. So, then it leads to... I can't remember chronologically where this falls, but... the mom, like, it's a really funny, like, unintentionally funny scene where the parents come back, stepdad and the mom come back, and Matthew McConaughey's just like cooking eggs in their kitchen. I was like, I don't know, like, what they were trying to get at with, him just being super, is like,
Homely?
He was wearing an apron too.
He was wearing an apron.
He's wearing black. It's not going to stain. It'll be fine.
He was wearing an apron. It was a very odd, like, unintentionally funny scene where he's just like, he just seems like he's just like Matthew McConaughey, not the Man in Black. He's like, oh, you don't mind if I make myself comfortable here.
And like,
all right.
So then he kills the husband or the whatever boyfriend, whatever he is.
Yeah.
But then there's this weird scene where he basically says, I want to use your memories to figure out what Jake knows.
I like this scene.
Yeah.
I don't.
Why?
Not that I don't like the scene. I think it's well acted.
Yeah.
But the thing that doesn't make any damn sense to me is when Jake was coloring that picture or drawing that picture, did he say, "Hey Mom, come in here and watch me draw this entire picture from scratch. I just dreamed something." How the hell would she remember him drawing
It's an extrapolation.
That? Fuck you.
It's an extrapolation.
No. Because then why does she even need to be there? If he's just extrapolating from the ether.
He's extrapolating from her memories. She's seen all of his
She
pictures.
hasn't seen... Yeah, but she hasn't seen him draw that.
No. But
and that was one picture she didn't see because he never... Did he put that? He might have put that one single
but
up.
They show him posting it.
Okay, my bad. So she would have...
Shut the hell up!
That would have been fine if she would have just pictured that image. But they took great care in showing him drawing every single line on that guy.
I think they took, like, artistic liberty. Come on,
I'll give
We're
them
not
that.
cinema sins, right?
I am.
Are we?
In this case.
Are we? We're not cinema sins, right? Anyway, so you see this scene where he sees all the pictures. I like this scene because of what he does to the mom. He
shames her.
Yeah.
And she can't move, and like she plays it really, really well because like she's like holding in all of this emotion where she didn't believe her child. And he says like, "Shame on you." Well, I was like, "Oh, this is really good." I thought that was really good. That's something that doesn't happen in the books at all. It's unique to the film, and like I thought that was well written and well acted on both sides.
I agree.
Like that was a moment where the Man in Black truly felt like more than your run of the mill villain. He did something
emotionally manipulates.
Yeah. That's his jam.
Yeah.
Right? That's his thing. And they don't do that enough. They don't do enough of that.
That was his only time where he felt like a really menacing,
diabolical,
deep
you know?
character. Like there's something sinister about him.
Yeah.
Other than that, he was just generic. I want to destroy the world character. And
Yeah.
who gives a shit? Like
But
I didn't care.
he
about
is
it.
supposed to be a puppet master.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's just using his powers to do.
Just tell people stop breathing.
Stop breathing.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't like how he used it twice. Or
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably used it maybe even a third or fourth time. I don't know, but just the two when he did it on his dad too. I'm like, oh man, learn a different trick.
Yeah, you got to
It's
go back
too
to
easy.
magic school.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just too
too
easy.
easy. Exactly. There's no, and I don't mind. I don't know. Anyways.
I think Walter only knows one magic. He keeps saying magics as plural, but it's the stop breathing thing. That's all he's got, I think.
It's a good trick.
Stop with the plural thing. You're lying on your resume. There, but yeah, you know, that scene was really good. I thought that was well played, well acted.
It was a good scene, but then everything that was in Pennywise's, everything that was in the forest, and everything that was that scene of him doing detective work to find out who Jake was, you didn't need any of that in the film, and that was probably at least a good 8 to 10 minutes.
Probably more. I mean, he spends a
Potentially
lot
more.
of time looking for them.
Right, but there was no character building moments on either side of those stories. That's what I was talking about before with the story A, story B stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is like the Jake and Gunslinger quest, there's no character building moments there.
Sure.
They fight the monster, but that doesn't really go anywhere. And Roland gets sick, and that also doesn't go anywhere. That doesn't help contribute to the plot at all.
Right. So like they're in this Pennywise's thing, and like he ends up waking up and having this dream, and his dad is like beckoning him to come, and it's like I think it's supposed to be what's called a thinny. I think it's supposed to be like
A thingy?
No. Thinny is different.
It's not a thinny. I thought like the thinny sort of like attracts you to come in.
No.
And consumes you.
So
this is supposed to be like a rip in the.
No, so that's in the first book, like where.
Like the Oracle.
Yeah.
The Oracle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
All right, sure.
They're essentially like spirits that kind of haunt an area, and in the book, it's a lot more sexual, actually.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But in this, they're basically feeding off of your weaknesses, emotional
Sure,
weaknesses, and just trying to eat you up, essentially.
Yeah. And he says something escapes, and he explains that the Dark Tower and the beams across the Dark Tower are creating a barrier for all realities. Outside of the realities are a world of monsters and like Lovecraftian level cosmic beings that will devour all of our souls. Yeah, that are trying to get in. And one of these minor demons escapes, and they get attacked. So this scene is, I have no idea what the hell's going on. It's such a contrast to the desert scenes, which are so beautiful and like well shot. This one is a total like chaotic mess. It's in the dark. It's blurry. I don't know what the monster looks like. Not a clue. And I'm sure there's great design work there, but I have no idea what he looked like. And they actually go through Pennywise's like that theme park thing, which I thought would have been a great place. Like it's an interesting place to have a chase, but it's just it's all really dark. Why they chose to do it at night for effect, but it was just I don't know. Like
I think they chose to do it at night because they didn't have the budget to make the CG look good on the animal.
And what I don't understand is why is that in Midworld?
Why is Pennywise's carnival there? That's a good
It's
question.
just really random.
Yeah.
Slow jerk Stephen King. That's why he's like, I want.
Like if this is a scene on Earth when they go back.
For the record, Stephen King had nothing to do with this movie.
No, he did. He had veto rights to a lot of stuff in this film.
Really?
Yes. That's why this movie is so chaotic. I think because you had the studio execs having one say in it, and you also had Stephen King also having a say in it.
Okay.
But because I would have wanted a more faithful reproduction.
Yeah, I don't if you look at Stephen King's
movies.
Well, not even just movies. If you look at his PR, like the PR stuff, like interviews they've done where they've asked him about the Dark Tower, he's said that they've gone in their own direction.
Yeah, he said that
the entire time.
He didn't have any creative.
Yeah, he's been distancing himself, and I know what you said. Like there was an article that came out that talked about the production and how the production was chaotic. Everyone had a say in what was in and what was out. I'm only going off of what he's said about the movie, and he's been lukewarm ever since production started. And he's like, they're doing their own thing.
Well, I mean, imagine this, right? Like they made a movie on his what he considers his magnum opus.
Yeah,
and they just Witcher.
Yeah, but
So
like
hold
he's
on. Here's the this is the quote I was talking to. This is from sources, an insider. I guess you can only trust it as much as you can, but this is on Gizmodo. That led to a case of too many cooks in the kitchen, according to one insider. Stephen King also had a great deal of input. In return for the rights to his work, he retained the veto approval of almost every aspect of the film. Whether he exercised them a lot or not, I don't know.
Whether
but
it's true.
This whole film just screams just inconsistent direction.
Sure, yeah. I that might be the case. There are two things. Whether that report is true, because a lot of these insider reports turn out to be like they're heard without context or stuff like that. Maybe he did have veto rights.
Yeah.
Maybe he did have veto rights, but then he was like, you know what? You guys aren't making my books per se. You're making like a semi-sequel or like a reimagining. So knock yourselves out. You want to ask me something? Sure, ask me something. You want to know what this demon should look like? Here's a description, or whatever, like stuff like that. Maybe he did have veto rights, but never actually exercised them, or maybe he didn't have them at all. Like whatever it happens to be, everything I've read about him and talking about this film has always been at arm's length. He's never said anything. He's never been like, I love the film, they're doing amazing work. Like I don't think I ever read him say anything like that, and I've read him say stuff about other films of his that he didn't have creative control over. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, so this muddy action scene happens. Roland gets punctured by this demon's tail. The rabbit line happens just before this. We skipped that, the famous rabbit line, and then we continue on, and the Man in Black continues to look for him, and they end up at this village, this little shanty village, and it's the first time they use the high speech. These really great, like one of the things that's really great about the Gunslinger Born comic book is that they're constantly using this like different vocabulary. That's like, do you ken it? Like this, thank ye sigh and all that stuff, and the long days and pleasant nights and like all that great stuff that it's not hard to understand. It's all very easy to understand, straightforward, but it gives you that otherworldly, mythological sort of layer on top of it, and they use it for the first time so late in the film. And he says long days and pleasant nights, and he says, may you have twice the number, that type of thing. And I was like, I liked it, but I just wish they would. There was more of it. I wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted them to use it more regularly, that kind of thing. So they're in this village, and it's. They eat and they decide to take the door back to New York because they can jump through another door that'll take them to the stubby murder dome from the intro of the film. And then the village gets attacked. And actually, I didn't mind this scene. I actually kind of you know what it kind of reminded me of? I don't know if you guys have seen The Wolfman, Benicio del Toro's The Wolfman. It reminded me of the Wolfman attack on the village. It's very similar in terms of chaos. But what I loved about this film is the first time you see him use his guns. It's very late. And he uses it once on the demon, but this is the first big action scene where he's using his guns. Mm-hmm. And there's the stopping power of the bullets, which I really love. Like, there's a guy running at him, and he jumps, and when he shoots him, he, stops in midair and, falls backwards, even gets pushed back a little bit. Like, that kind of, stopping power to tell the audience, hey, these guns are not normal. Like, it's not a Glock or even, a Desert Eagle. These are, huge, large caliber irons that are, they're special,
So he calls them his irons.
Yeah, and that's the first time you get to see that, they're not particularly normal. Their stopping power is ridiculous, right? And so then he gets taken, and you get this famous scene from the trailer of him doing the no-look shot. And I liked it. It's great. If I hadn't seen it 500 times in the trailer before.
That's the problem. The whole time I was just as soon as I saw that starting, I was like, well, I know where this is going. And then as soon as I saw Jake being taken away by the one thing that was left, I'm like, well, there's no chance anybody's taking him away at this point. I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So I was unexcited by it. And that was where it was also kind of, the lighting was inconsistent there because it went from dark to warm to dark to warm constantly. and
because of the fire. Like,
yeah,
there's like,
exactly.
Yeah,
and there was constant cuts.
Yeah.
And camera shake, and it was just very erratic to watch. Which maybe that's what they were going for, given the scene.
But I could see everything. Like, it wasn't like I was confused about what was happening. I knew what was happening.
I knew what was happening because I understood what was happening. But
Right.
if I don't know how I would not get context as to what's happening. But like, it was just very like I found it disorienting as fuck. Like, I was just like getting dizzy.
Really? Okay. Yeah. No, I had a different take on this one. I thought it was a serviceable action scene with a couple of shining moments when he's using the guns and they're showing that the guns are high caliber, like big old hand cannons, basically, right?
Yeah.
He does the no look shot, still good, but obviously has reached its saturation point because they included the entire thing in the trailer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, dampens the effect.
And there's never anything done quite similar to that afterwards.
No, they don't. They don't.
That was the extent of his amazing gunslinging ability.
They do the ricochet shot
Once.
Yeah.
I think it's in that. Is it in that scene?
No.
No,
where
the
did they
one
do-
ricochet shot was the finale.
No. He ricochet shots before that. In the finale, like the lobby when he goes into the
Against
pig
the
and
Man in
Dixie.
Black.
No, he does it
No.
once before.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he leads up. He leads with a shot. Like he in an action scene before that.
Yeah.
He does a ricochet shot to set up the fact that he can in fact do a ricochet shot at the end of the film. He does it once.
Well, he should have done it more because there are scenes where he should have. Anyways, he should have done it in certain situations.
Sure. Yeah.
So, anyways, they get to New York and they go to a hospital. Which my only read there is that they did this whole him getting sick so they could do the hospital gag. That's
Which was
another.
funny.
It was bullshit, though, man. What does that help a plot
No,
that's already so light? Like,
Yeah.
you don't need that. Like, focus on the characters. At this point, like, it didn't make me like the characters anymore. The only scene I could think of that made me like the characters anymore was on the bus when he was giving him the pills and he was drinking Coke. And you didn't need that. You didn't need the pills to make that, to sell that. You can just give him the Coke and he could just go nuts for it, and that would have been good. And a guy like Idris Elba in that scene,
Oh, it would have been great.
would have been great.
Yeah.
And
instead,
he underplays it. He underplays
he
that
underplays
scene.
that too. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite moments in the books. He has a Coke for
Oh,
the
really?
first
And-
time.
okay.
And it's literally 2.5 pages describing how it feels to have a Coke.
Yeah.
When you're like, how old is he? Like 300 years old or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
And
he's like,
sugar is
so
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, sugar is so hard to come by.
to get an ounce
To
of
get
the
a-
sugar that's
to get
in that
that
Coke.
much
it's
in
like,
Coke, it's like, yeah, he just goes nuts. He's like, oh my god, what is this nectar?
and he just keeps repeating the word sweet. Like, not like sweet, like sweet, like, and he's sick at the time in the books as well.
Yeah.
So this thing about him being sick is not unique. Like they did that.
They just didn't use it well.
They didn't
No,
use it.
they didn't use it
yeah.
well in this. There was at no point did I feel like he was in any trouble at all. Throughout the village. And the thing is again with the village scene, I know he's getting to the end of that scene because he got to do his no look shot. So that's why, like, it doesn't. The sickness doesn't make me worry for the character at all, and it doesn't make him lose Jake. Like, if he was sick and that was that's what resulted in him losing Jake.
Yeah.
Then that would have made sense. He was too sick to lift his gun or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, use it that way. But like in this case, he just killed 12 I don't know how many ever villains.
Yeah.
And he killed one without even looking.
I think he's fine.
I think he's okay.
I think he's gonna be
No,
okay.
I agree with you. I think that whole thing was just a setup to have a funny scene in the hospital, and that was it.
Yeah.
There's other ways to do
And feed
funny
him some
scenes
Coke at
and
the end.
character moments.
Yeah,
Like Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
It was just the two of them on a boat, and they made that entire scene just so good to watch, and
Yeah.
it developed so much character in
Yeah.
just the 4 minutes they spent there. Whereas in this, you got to do essentially like a half movie setup almost between when he gets sick and when the friggin' payoff comes. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I
So-
agreed. I think that it was a half-ass attempt to recapture a similar plot line or similar thread from the books.
Yeah.
That does play because he is.
Well, it's significant.
Dude, he is sick. He is dreadfully sick.
Yeah.
In the novels, like he is close to death.
Let's not
like,
ruin it.
Yeah,
Just read
but
it.
okay. Sorry.
Let's just stick with the movie. 'cause we're gonna get into the movie.
So, but they're pulling a lot of these from the book, but they're neutering it for the film. So anyway, he gets on the bus, visits the homeless dude again because he remembers the homeless guy that told him they were coming after him.
Yeah, about where he could find the bad guys in New York.
Yeah.
The thing that I didn't understand there, which kind of just why after the Man in Black has used these kids psychically, why would he he just be like, all right, let's bring him back to where we found him?
Oh, I think he escaped.
I think he's supposed to be an escapee. But
I see. Okay.
Yeah, he says.
But
They
again,
made it
it's-
sound
it's-
like he's bringing him back, and I was like,
No.
he clearly has no qualms about killing people when he's done with them. So
Yeah.
why would he bring him back? But okay,
Yeah.
maybe he escaped.
yeah,
he escaped.
again, it's not clear, but that's kind of what you surmise that. Okay, this guy probably
probably
escaped.
got
because
Which-
his life is so like he's
Like,
basically
kinda
undercover,
he's
like
gone.
he's trying to hide.
He's not all
Yeah.
there too,
True.
right?
True.
So
So there's that weird thing. But
they
then they
find
go to
him-
the gun shop. Well, yeah,
Oh,
they,
they go to
find,
the gun
they,
shop.
find, they find that the mother is gone, emotional scene,
Yeah,
yada yada.
that was played. I was played okay.
played all right.
It was played okay.
But then the next thing that got me was the gun shop, and they get all of his 45 caliber bullets or whatever
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are, which is technically it's just a big ass hand cannon. There's
Yeah.
nothing special about the bullets.
Sure,
you can
yeah.
just buy them on
Yeah.
in Earth. But the thing that bugs me is there was just I don't know, and you guys as readers of the books might disagree, but why the fuck didn't he grab a couple of assault rifles or some Uzis? Like that would have been more interesting. Because the thing is if they would have said like his guns have a certain power about them, he can do things with these weapons that he can't do with any other.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of that.
It's the implication.
But there's no reason, there's no practical reason for him not to grab anything else.
Well, first of all, he's never actually used another gun.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but,
But
he
did they
knows how
not talk
guns
about
work.
his guns being forged from?
They mention that
Excalibur?
they're from Excalibur, but like if he could do like, for instance, if he could do like what was that movie Wanted, where he could curve the bullets or do
Yeah.
something very unique with those bullets,
Yeah.
that would be a little bit of a different story. Then it would make sense. And all they needed to do was something like him shooting through something that's impossible to shoot through,
Yeah,
or
sure,
curving
sure.
a bullet, or being able to do crazy bank shots the whole time.
Yeah.
But they don't, and he
They don't.
treats the weapons just as they are, as really powerful hand cannons. And they had that whole idea in the scene where he was in the village where it's like, yeah, you're really going to like Earth because we've got all these kinds of crazy guns. This is essentially what he's alluding to, and bullets are plentiful. But they don't really go for it. Like, that
Yeah.
would have been... How neat would it have been is all of a sudden he's down and out. His hand cannons... Or even when he gets pinned down in the big
Yeah.
fight scene, he tosses out his cannons and he comes around and he's just got these two Uzis or something else that they would not have expected. And then he mows everybody down.
I have an even better idea. Like the idea is even better. I think that if they had him take other guns, and he could even talk about it, he could say, "What I can do with my guns, I can aim. I'm so comfortable with my guns. I can do the ricochet shots with these guns. I can't do that with other weapons, and I'm unfamiliar with them. But maybe they take them anyway, and they could have a great scene where he runs out of bullets and one to buy some time. He like uses the Uzi
That's
and
what I mean.
totally fucks it up.
Yeah.
and just like he's just like, what the hell? It flies out of his hands, and
There's
he's just like
so much potential.
Like
There's
that.
so much like if you want to put gags into it, there's some potentials for some pretty decent gags or some decent character moments where he's a
Character
fallible
moment.
character.
Yeah, right.
Like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not an
Yeah.
expert in this
This
particular
world. He's not. He's an alien in this
Right.
world. Yeah. So I agree that
It was a missed opportunity in some form or fashion there for sure.
I think specifically if we wanted to make that scene work, and again, this is just, I'm not a writer or anything, so this is just, again, armchair writer for the moment. But to make that scene work, it wouldn't be him. He would never take one of those guns. Jake should have. Jake should have been like, oh, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take this, and he's going to put them all in a duffel bag.
yeah, that would
and then if something happens, whatever, he can use them, or a gunslinger finds out he needs to use other guns. And that could be a great gag of him using other guns and just not... He's just like... Because, again, I'm bringing it back to the books a little bit. He describes the manufacture of these weapons when he sees them as being like plastic toys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he describes them as just being brittle... poorly made, like that kind of thing. Like
He's a gun snob. That's what
he's a gun snob.
Yeah,
He's a total
exactly.
gun snob.
That's his new name.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the gun snob. The gun
The gun
snob.
snobber. The gun snobber.
But how cool would that then? In that case, in that same vein, I mean, because he's clearly stronger than it seems like
Yes,
mortal
yeah,
man on Earth.
yeah.
How cool would it have been is if Jake says to him like, "Oh, you should get that shotgun." He just picks it up and breaks it in his hands.
Yeah, and he's
You
like,
know what I mean?
He's like,
these are
I can't
these,
to
these
show
are
that these are
kids-
absolute
exactly
crap
these
guys.
are kids'
Yeah.
toys.
Yeah.
That would have been so.
That
much
would have
cooler.
been great. You're
and
right.
that would have
You're
led.
right.
And now I'm skipping ahead to the next scene.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the scene quickly. Is at this point he goes to the gun store. That's when Jake gets taken, and the man in black is not actually there, and is just messing with Roland.
Yeah.
So then they go, and he's got to go and break him out, and he's got to go through the bad guys on Earth to
Yeah.
get to the Stumpy Tower.
Yeah.
Now, if he would have also really established just how much stronger he is, and that they're using Earth weapons on him, to me, it would have made a lot more sense of him being somewhat impervious to the bullets, maybe not fully bulletproof, to some of the stuff he was able to do. Because honestly, like, I know he's good with his guns, but they didn't establish that he could take on an army with fully automatic weapons with 2 6-shooters.
Yeah. They did some, and we'll get to that last action scene in a second.
Yeah.
But like some of the things he could have done, he could have blocked a bullet with his gun.
Yeah.
Like he could have done something like the guy shoots and he just he shoots back or something like that.
And that would have done 2 things. It would have added credibility to his character as being even more formidable in a firefight.
Right.
And on top of that, it would have added credibility of him being like, yeah, fuck these toy guns. I've got my Excalibur guns here. Yeah. You guys don't stand a chance.
Right, yeah.
That would have been like Jedis with their lightsabers deflecting the bullets back, right? That would have made it so much better. Instead, he kind of hides behind a pillar, gets shot at the pillar a bunch, and then he just rotates around and starts shooting people.
Yeah.
It was like, it didn't work. It didn't show, like in The Matrix, when Neo did that, he was moving faster than anybody could even catch him at, and he waited for them to reload.
Right.
There was a lull in their shooting, and then that's when he plans his attack. Yeah. In this, they were still shooting.
Yeah, it's a very generic action scene.
Yeah,
so it comes up. So Jake gets kidnapped. Oh, because he gets locked out of the store. He runs into. He gets caught by the Man in Black himself, right? Does he?
I can't even remember.
No,
he gets
caught
by.
henchmen, I think.
Yeah. Who cares? Somebody.
Anyway, so they drag him off to this facility where they're going to use his magnified shine to break the last beams of the tower and let this darkness in. And Roland, what does he do? He
kills everybody and goes through the portal. Oh, he tries to go through the portal, and then they were trying to close it on him.
Yeah, well, that's even before that. He goes to the pig, the what is it? The Dixie pig.
The Dixie pig.
He goes to the Dixie pig, which I just read about. Finally, in the Song of Susanna, all of these things that are pulling up are in the last 2 books. Like there's not a lot of it's from anywhere else. Anyway, so he goes to the Dixie Pig and does this whole like Blade, Neo, Trinity attack against the facility. And this is an interesting scene because it is kind of a generic action scene. You get to see him use his guns. Some of the stunts are pretty cool, but here's a weird thing. The trailers for these movies and the posters all show his eyes changing color to blue and his guns glowing blue. It's in the trailers and it's in all the posters. Doesn't happen in the movies. Not even a once. Isn't that interesting?
I actually don't even remember this from the trailer, to be honest.
I don't either, but I'll take.
So there's a scene where he's like looks up and his eyes are changing to like a very light blue, and like his guns when he shoots up they're glowing blue, like the writing is glowing on blue.
Yeah.
So it leads to that sort of Excalibur, forged from Excalibur kind of steel thing, but it's not in the movie at all. Isn't that weird?
It's a very ordinary gunfight.
It's so ordinary.
Yeah.
It's so ordinary. Now, I remember when the trailer first came out and everybody lamented the fact that, his guns are glowing and his eyes are glowing blue and all this is just awful and people were just kind of wham crying about it. I mean, they do whatever they do. They take their creative license. But, a lot of the descriptions in the books are about Roland's eyes. There's a lot of descriptions about Roland's eyes being a piercing like sapphire blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe they change color. Like when he goes into this killer like gunslinger mode where he's like a robot and they change color, the guns light up. I'm like, it's kind of hokey, but it's not awful. Like it's kind of hokey. But the more interesting thing, rather than how I feel about it, is not that interesting. How I feel isn't that interesting. What's interesting is that they decided and they cut it out. It's not in the movie. There's a shot where he's getting shot at by the pillar and he's sitting down there. He's looking down and then he looks up and then he comes back out. He starts shooting them.
Yeah.
That's the shot. I'm 90% sure that's the shot from the trailer where he looks up and his eyes start to change colors. And then he comes back out and his guns are glowing.
And you know what? If you add that effect, I'm way more okay with it because something supernatural is going on and something's somewhat protecting him in some way. But that's the thing is like, if he just comes around all normal, like,
yeah,
why did
there's
he get
nothing
shot?
to suggest he's a special gunslinger.
No, exactly.
Like that he has
anything special
better
about
ability.
him. Right.
Yeah.
He's just a guy with 2 cannons that has good aim, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't care how good of an aim you have. If you've got bullets flying around you from multiple guns that are firing, multiple rounds per second, you're going to get cut down.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look up the poster that has the blue. Yeah, here it is. I'll just show you guys real quick.
Yeah, the blue. Yeah,
The blue
Oh,
Right.
you know what? I remember this now. Yeah.
So even and you look at the context of the picture where he's doing a 2-step.
Yeah.
You can see the guns are glowing.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And he's not.
This is the worst
That
poster.
looks pretty ridiculous.
awful poster. But the guns are glowing, and even his eyes.
So that was pitch perfect.
Yeah, and even the letters of one sworn to protect are changing to the color blue. This was in their entire campaign.
And they didn't use it at all. I love it when ad campaigns just totally pull the wool over your eyes.
Yeah, this is totally not the first time it's happened.
No.
There are a lot of other scenes in movies that happen in the trailer that you never see, and they're deleted scenes. But these are unmodified. These are modified scenes. I think it's the same shot.
Predators did that with the multiple
Roland, but that one stung very, very badly.
Yeah, I know.
That was a promise that they
didn't
couldn't
deliver.
keep. They didn't deliver. I don't know if you remember the movie Predators.
No, I know we met Predators. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But I don't remember a trailer for it.
anyway,
Adrian
the trailer
Brody.
for Adrian Brody, and it's directed by
Robert Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there are multiple Predators. It says Predators. There's 3 of them. But in the trailer for the movie, the lead is standing there like this, and one of the Predator 3-dot lasers appear on him, and then another one appears, and then another one, and then 6 more appear, and then that's the end of the trailer, and it's like, oh, Predators, crazy.
A lot of them.
3.
Yeah. And in
There's
that
that
scene, I'm
scene-
pretty sure there's only 1 dot on it.
And that scene, only 1 aimer shows up.
The other 2 predators yeah, you got this.
Yeah.
you don't need our dots.
Oh, it was so funny. I not funny. I remember seeing that, and I'm like, what?
You bastard!
That was just a totally rickrolled on that.
Yeah.
I felt like after that shot where the 1 aimer appears, it was just it just told skip into a Rick Astley video right there. You've been rickrolled, right?
Oh my god.
Anyway, so yeah, the blue guns and blue eyes totally ditched, and I think maybe it had something to do with the fan reaction when the original trailer and poster art came out.
Yeah, could be they just tested poorly and they wanted to take that out because
and
it
is a digital effect, so it's just a matter of taking that layer out. It's now it's not in the movie. Congratulations.
Yep,
right?
that easy.
Anyway, so yeah, generic action scene, nothing here to really write home about. And then he faces off against the Man in Black.
Which again, generic action scene.
Remember how on the Wonder Woman film how I was I hate that cliched Magneto /
I'm gonna stand there and throw everything at
throw
you.
stuff at you.
Yeah.
This was
Magic hands,
jazz hands, and oh man,
same shit.
I was
glass and metal and oh my god, it was just.
I actually preferred the scene in Wonder Woman, which is saying a lot.
By a lot, because
I
there's
did
some
not like that
emotional
scene.
investment. In this scene, you've got a guy that has guns that you don't give a shit about, and you've got a guy that's a bad guy where you don't understand any of his motivation other than he wants to destroy reality for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
When his magics...
His
magic seas
Magic
don't
eye.
work on Roland. What does that even mean?
Again,
it means
yeah,
that he says that you can't breathe and that's about it. But he can throw magic objects at him. Again,
let's say she's manipulating physical objects and using the magics to propel them at high speeds.
But he could have done this before. It had to come to this climactic
they
showdown.
They
for them
both
to
had
do
each other point blank when
Several,
they killed his father.
Yeah.
Or when he killed his father, and it's neither of them. One guy walked away I'll get you later, and the other guy's I don't need to use all these bullets. It didn't make sense. This whole movie could
he catches the bullet. Why didn't he just fire it right back at him?
Because he does that in the thing where you think pew 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 pew.
Yeah, but
Where he's flicking bullets at him.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But then there's that really weird scene between where he realizes Roland is after him, and he held on to that bullet. But,
that
like,
he caught.
Yeah,
and
that
he
he
tries
caught.
to flick it at him and kill him. I'm like,
No. He doesn't. Not
he
that
not?
first bullet. No, I think he just holds on to
Oh.
it. But he had it in that little box, and he opens it. And he's like,
That's
"Roland,
right,
old
yeah,
friend,"
yeah,
right?
yeah.
He says something like that. But again, there's no reason.
Why?
Like, why does he care so much?
Yeah.
Aside from he doesn't.
Like,
know,
what's their history?
Yeah, there's no history.
Nothing.
Or is he just intrigued because the magics don't affect him? Like, there's nothing there. It's just
It's not even a
generic bad guy versus
fascination.
generic. Yeah, there's nothing.
Did they even say at any point in the movie that the gunslingers are supposed to protect the Dark Tower?
Yeah, they mentioned that.
does.
They mentioned that at the dinner scene, and they kind of shame him because it's like, you're just after for vengeance or something like that.
there
Yeah,
was
you're no
that
longer
whole-
really a gunslinger.
I mean,
that's right.
I
You're
can't-
not really in
We can't talk about that without talking about the books again.
Yeah.
The motivations here are completely like
Lost.
they're changed. They're lost.
Yeah.
They
I had
basically
a
took
feeling.
an obvious. They took an obvious like U-turn on his motivation, saying he's all about revenge.
Yeah.
When his character is built principally in the book to be about duty.
Yeah.
And that
Tower.
switch is like, okay, you can make that switch if you do something like interesting with it, but they made that switch because it streamlines everything and everything becomes way much more understandable or whatever. They just like boiled it down to its like
But it also reduces the significance of the
Yes.
Dark Tower.
Yes.
It's the name of the fucking movie.
correct. It reduces the significance and the fact that the Dark Tower is just floating in the clouds somewhere and
It's just a random tower.
It's just a random tower that nobody in the book sees. No, like nobody even sees it in a dream.
Oh,
if I'm like, if
You know,
I'm not.
actually, we missed something I wanted to
Yeah.
rant about
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Back at the house, when Jake goes through the portal, there's a graffiti that says "All Hail the Crimson King."
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was it.
Who the
Again,
fuck's the Crimson King? Yeah, I thought it was maybe the Man in
Because
Black.
it's,
or is it
it's
another?
done twice,
Where's the
right? Because
second
like no, they show the same. I think they show the same thing twice because
Oh.
the Man in Black walks through the house.
That's right. He goes through the
He
house
goes
again.
through the house and then he looks at it. He's like, oh, ding.
Yeah.
and he keeps walking.
Is it another character from the Dark Tower,
It's-
or is it another?
It's the
Stephen
guy who's
King
like-
slow jerking.
No, it's not.
No, it is a
it's
Dark
part
Tower.
of the Dark Tower.
But there's just no explanation.
There's zero
like,
explanation. Yeah.
Who is the Crimson King? Is it the Man in Black, or is it someone the Man in Black works for?
Yeah.
Or
The
is it somebody
eye,
totally
the
else?
sigil, like the eye of the Crimson King
That's
is
right.
painted everywhere.
It's offered with zero explanation, and they make it seem significant, but
Right.
to what purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, so really generic scene on like a really like a final showdown that's a real letdown. I like the way he dispatches it. I like the idea, like that he had like with the one shot and then the ricochet shot. I'm like that was pretty cool, but like I don't care, so it's not as effective that way. But the whole like hand wavy thing.
The hand wavy boss fight.
Yeah, the Magneto, thing, force moving thing. I can't get behind that. It's
Let's do something a little different, folks.
it's been done to death. So he goes in, he grabs Jake. Does he kill everybody? He doesn't. Oh, sorry.
No,
what
this I take issue with.
I mean,
He
just-
frees Jake by shooting off his
Oh,
left hand, which apparently releases everything. Good thing he knew to shoot the left one. It releases all of the other shackles amazingly. He runs out and then he shoots the machine,
And it
which proceeds to blow up and probably kills everybody in that small village
Oh
next
my
to the
God.
stubby tower.
Yeah.
The explosion was massive. There's no way that village survived.
So wait, but
And they
he
had
did-
like kids in
They
there.
had children.
That's
Yeah.
right.
They
Oh, that's the first scene
Little
too.
kids.
So
I was
there's-
like, holy shit, Roland. Do you know what you're blowing up? Like,
Merciless.
he just
First of
blows
all,
it up.
I found it comical that he shot one bullet and the entire
Entire
mountainside
thing.
like exploded. I'm like, if you wanted proof that these guns are special, my friend, there it is. One shot, kaboom. And he didn't like shoot. It's not like he shot a propane tank.
Or like he
even
shot
like,
the psychic machine.
or like a fire extinguisher or something that like explode. Like people are like, oh yeah, if you knock those over, they explode, right? Isn't that how they work? Like he didn't do. He just shot the machine once, and the entire place combusts.
Yeah.
Like I was like that. I don't know. I feel like there was a scene in there where like that was missing, where they threw a grenade, or like they set charges, or
after evacuating the entire town of people.
Kids.
That's right, little kids.
Kidnapped kids.
Kidnapped kids from other worlds.
Made a fury death.
With their brains sucked out.
Yeah, that's right. So he comes back. They go back to New York.
They go back to New York.
They're back in New York, and he has a hot dog. And then he says savages. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. What kind of dog is this?
What kind of dogs?
What
Savages.
breed? Yeah, that was good.
Savages.
That was a good line.
And tells Jake to come with him. And then they go to the same house, I think, to jump back through gate. Back to Midworld, I think, and then they show the rose on the right side. And at the beginning of the film, they show the Sombra Corporation title card.
That's right.
Which is like also plays into the mythology, but has zero explanation.
There you go.
There's
Tet
no.
Corporation.
Oh, was it Tet? Sorry, I thought it was Sombra.
No, Tet. I think it was Tet with the turtle.
Oh, the turtle. That's right. Yeah, the turtle, and the turtle has no explanation either. Maybe when you see it.
But that's another.
That's
another Stephen King jerk off thing.
That's another slow jerk.
Slow jerk.
Stephen King slow jerk, man. If we've established anything in this podcast today, is that Stephen King and slow jerking on camera is probably a thing somewhere.
Oh my god! Yeah, Stephen King. Yeah, this was another Stephen King handy, and
he does have quite an ego.
Well, actually, I watched interviews with him. He's not not egotistical. He doesn't come off as such in interviews. He's pretty humble, and he's like, he doesn't think he writes classic novels. You literally ask him, he's like, I write, like, sometimes I feel like I write cheap thrillers, like paperbacks for the plane kind of thing. They sell them at the airport. And he lists off a bunch of people who he thinks write classic literature.
He is fairly self-deprecating.
He is, and I don't know. Like I said, we talked about his stake in the film. Who knows what actually happened? But yeah. So that's the film. There's no post-credit sequence or anything like that.
I didn't even bother staying. I'm like, there could be. I really don't give a shit. Not a good first go. They're talking about a TV series.
I think there was initially talk about it. I don't know.
I think they're still they appointed a showrunner, and
based on the success of this film.
I don't think so. I think they sent out, I saw a headline where they sent out some kind of questionnaire to a bunch of people where they asked them about their interest, and a lot of people are interested in seeing a television series rather than a film, which is typically I think it goes without saying that's the approach they should have taken.
Yeah, in the first place.
Or just, again, take notes from John Wick. Focus the story on a very character-driven science fiction horror bent, but hint at this outside world. Then the TV series tells the story of the Wizard in Glass, which is the same story that the first Marvel comic book tells.
Right.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Wizard in Glass.
Okay.
So I would love to see more of the Dark Tower. I'd love to see more of Idris Elba as the gunslinger. I think he needs a costume change. I think he needs a little bit of a rewrite of his motivations. I'd love to see Matthew McConaughey take another shot at the Man in Black but it's just the movie that's built around these actors is not it's not coherent. It takes everything that's unique about the properties and boils it down to a very lame vanilla, poorly edited science fiction film, and it's really the bottom line. And there are things that I enjoy about this movie. There's make no, and we've talked about them, but I just I can't recommend it. Being a Dark Tower fan, I was really excited about the film. Ignored a lot of the negative press, but went in and unfortunately was disappointed. It's too bad because the Dark Tower really is a unique property. It really is.
It has a lot of promise. I think as a TV show, it would have a lot more because they don't have to make it so condensed. They don't have to worry about a runtime.
Yeah,
they can actually really, like you said, expand into the universe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I would still hold out hope that maybe the TV show can redeem this.
And again, I'd love to see them continue their roles. So, any final thoughts?
Nope. I think we said enough. Yeah. I don't really. I have nothing else to add. I think I've said everything I had to say.
Sure. Yeah.
And the ending kind of fell flat for me too, because it was just the let's go be gunslingers. Okay, and then they're just gone. Like,
that was another cheese part. So, gunslinger. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
He just called me a gunslinger.
Yeah. It was kind of a cheesy ending.
I didn't like that at all.
And the Gunslinger's Creed, I thought was really cool.
There was one other thing.
Yeah.
As soon as he was reciting the oath, all I could think of in my head was, "Fuck, DC, please cast him as Jon Stewart."
Oh yeah,
him reading that oath, I was just like, "Oh, brightest day."
That's right, Jon Stewart, the Green
I had a
Lantern.
slow jerk moment.
Yeah.
Oh, brightest day.
He wasn't shaking his fist. He was giving himself the old
Oh, he'd be like a perfect
J.
Jon
Arthur.
Writing some poetry.
Yeah, that's right. No, he would make a great Jon Stewart. Better than Tyrese, who's just been campaigning for the role for the longest time.
Yeah, no.
Really?
I think Elba would make a great.
Elba would make a great anything.
He would, and he wasn't bad in this film.
It wasn't his fault though.
No, I think it's just directed poorly.
Yeah.
Maybe not direct. I don't know.
And that's the other thing. Like, and I wouldn't write off like Arsel as a director. You guys should definitely check out like A Royal Affair. It's a fantastic movie. It's Danish, so it's not English, so there's subtitles. So Justin, you're probably not going to be able to watch it. You can't read. So Sudip, you should check it. You should check it out. So it's just like I feel like they had the right pieces, but this just stinks of production woes, like and too many cooks in the kitchen. Very
Poor editing.
Yeah, and like it's a Green Lantern thing. I feel like this is very similar to Green Lantern. For me, I have a similar feeling. So, I think that's it.
That's it for me.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Sudip, thanks for joining us this time around.
Thanks for having me.
How'd you feel about your first go?
It's good. Vented a lot.
You're gonna sleep well tonight.
I've been holding a lot of feelings about this movie. So maybe we can do something where we have good things to say about it.
Sure. And I was thinking we could do a little side quest one about the books at some point.
Oh yeah, that would be
when I finish up. So maybe in a year or so.
Yeah. I'll reread them in the meantime.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, this has been Welcome to Your Doom, episode number 5, The Dark Tower. This is Atul.
This is Justin.
We're signing out. See you guys.
Cheers.